Okay, so this oddball YouTube channel I've had for a long time, I've always just shared like random videos of me, physical things that I've built, the inventions and hobby crafts and stuff like that. Well, today, the invention is a process rather than a physical thing, and it just fascinates me. It's if you're at all interested in crafting for profit as a side gig and such, I think you're going to get something out of this. I call this high leverage crafting. It's, in a nutshell, it's an efficient process for producing things that customers actually want and making good money doing it as a result. We're just thinking through the whole process. So I'm gonna just introduce it right now with a slideshow and a story. So it starts 4 years ago. I am working at an engineering job. It's a good company. I like the people I'm working with. I like what I'm doing. And then they laid me off. They laid off a lot of good engineers. So I said, okay, that door is very shut. I got to figure something else out. But it wasn't a financial emergency because I live frugally and my wife works. So I said, okay, I think I'm pretty good in my industry at this point. I'm going to be very picky and only pick a job that I really want to do for my next job. So it took me a while to get back to work. Of course, I'm job shopping, and I said, I just don't want to do these things. And meanwhile, I really do enjoy building things, 3D printing and stuff, and I stumble across a Facebook group where somebody's doing that for profit, and they're selling it on Etsy. And I said, okay, that's worth a shot. I'll try that. And I started it, and it's messy and laborious, but there's signal there. I said, oh, there's cash flow. This is working, even though it's kind of hardcore, but I'm going to stick with it and see if I can do this better. So come forward 4 years, and it's just like it's its own thing. High leverage crafting. I'm going to switch my slides and show you this slideshow. I earned $88 an hour in 2022 selling handmade goods on Etsy. And if you've ever tried to do that, if you've ever tried to sell handmade goods on Etsy, you're probably not going to believe that on its face. You're going to say, that guy's just, no, it doesn't how it works. It's not how it works. And I'll explain how I got there. But this is it's a data-driven strategy guide here. Okay, you have to think through the whole process as you do it. This is every piece of work you do is done with intent. So the first question to ask is not, how did I do this? That is, if I had tried to answer that at the very beginning of this video, it just would be worth it. I've already lost half my viewers at this point. I would have lost the other half as well. So the most important question, the first thing you should ask is, ask yourself when someone online is peddling advice, is this person credible, or are they selling me garbage? If this works, why aren't they doing it themselves? Are they making all their money selling courses, just telling people how to do this thing that they don't even do? So especially if they're selling courses, you have to be very cynical. I am extremely cynical nowadays. If anybody even says the words flipping, print on demand, drop shipping, passive income, I'm out. I'm just like, you're trash. It's a big world. There's too many grifters in it. So I want to be very clear. The only business models that I innately trust and understand are those that involve adding value to things. So that's what this is. I'm building these things by hand. I like to make things. I'm a good teacher. I know how to distill complex ideas into digestible nuggets, and I'm doing this. I'll add, I'm doing this on Gumroad as a paid course, a one-time thing, instead of on YouTube, because the incentives on YouTube are wrong. If I'm trying to teach something on YouTube, I'm going to dangle the hot dog. Well, I mean, this is what people do, and I say this as someone who tries to learn things from YouTube. They dangle the hot dog just out of reach so that you never get it. They need eyeballs. They need to show you clickbait, and they need advertisements. They need you not getting what you want, and that's not worthwhile if you value your time. So if it's a paid course and our incentives are aligned, I want to take this information in my brain and transfer it into you efficiently to save both of us time. And I want you to be satisfied and say that was useful and give me 5 stars and then tell your friends. That is aligned incentives. So how did so who am I? I have 2 kids and a wonderful wife, and I'm very busy, and I make this work in my free time. So let's see, who is this for? I'm sorry, this is before that. What is my record? What have I accomplished to back this up? So on the left-hand side is this is revenue. And I'll add, if anybody online is ever saying, I made $100 doing this, they're talking about revenue. They're going to use revenue instead of profit. and they might even hint that it's profit because revenue is the larger number, and it sounds more impressive. So without respect to what it cost me to get that money, I made $100 on YouTube back before I did that, and I was like, yes, this is great. And they moved the goalposts, and I said, okay, no, this is not for me. And then clearly the signal that is working was the Etsy handmade shop. And in 2022, I leaned back on the reins and I didn't put so much time into development. I was using a lot of products that I had developed in prior years. That's kind of how I got this to work so well this year. An hour per day average. So that's an average which glosses over a variable cadence. So on a weekly basis, on a given day, I could do nothing. A typical day, I could drop into my shop for 10 minutes, start machines, and then leave. And then usually once a week, I'll go down and I'll have an assembly party, and I'll take the product my machines have made, pack it up and ship it and do that. And then also on a seasonal cadence. So this is spring, or this is winter still actually right now, and business is not as quick as during the end of the season, Christmas season and such, and you're just at that's where it's a lot more work. But man, that's when you're making all the money. It's hard to turn down. It's like I go down in that shop and on some days I've made more money than I did during the day at my main job. So and I'll add, I am 100% confident that I could just do this if I wanted to. I mean, so that dollars per hour is profit. That doesn't have like insurance, like there's no benefits into that like your job has. So it's actually optimal to work a full-time job and do this as a side gig if you can like stand it. But if I had to, I could survive doing this. So who is this course for? It's just for crafters, obviously, creative people, artists who build things, who like like knitters, sewing, 3D printing, all of those things. This is a pretty broad spectrum of people who might like to make things like pottery or something like that. The crafter's dilemma, in a nutshell, is transferring skills into profit is difficult. Like, okay, so I'm going to sound immodest for a moment here. I could build a Roomba from scratch if I wanted to. I could program it, I could design, I could injection mold, I could do all of it. And it doesn't help me. It doesn't matter. Nobody wants Michael's Roomba. I can't sell that for a profit. So it doesn't matter how good you are at stuff. That is not, you have to be able to transfer the value to people to make money for your time. So let me look at my notes here. A lot of people nowadays are involved in the gig economy. They're already selling crafts or doing this and that. And I got to be honest, the gig economy is mostly a corporate grift to take advantage of you. So they can call you a contractor, not give you any benefits. And I think a lot of people that try this kind of stuff get rightfully discouraged because they're like, if they like sit down and do the math, they say, that Uber wasn't worth my time to drive people around because my car broke down and now... So to explain the graph, if it's not clear, short-term gigs like driving for Uber Eats give you cash in hand. That's this near-term cash flow, but the potential for long-term growth is not good. If I do this for a year and I get really good at it, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to be working for hand to mouth. And I guess if you're living hand to mouth, that's something you can do. The only time I wouldn't recommend crafting for a crafter is if you are living hand to mouth, because it will cash flow. You will have you can have a profitable first year if you follow the advice that I have in here, but it's like I wouldn't want to like have to rely on it when you're just getting started. All right, there's work that goes into this up front. And then on the other hand, the other side of the spectrum, long-term growth, like all the kids want to be YouTubers these days. We all like Mr. Beast. He's this famous for being rich and generous, this cool guy. But that is so not typical. Like to make a YouTube channel and then get the cash flow at the beginning is zero. If I make a good video a week, that's 52 videos in a year, and that's what it's going to take before you can even start monetizing them. And then maybe you can expect like $10,000 a year after that or so. Like it varies, and it's a lottery ticket. This is not reliable. So high leverage crafting, when done well, it can give you cash in hand with good potential. There's no reason that this couldn't grow into like a small business where you hire employees and such. Once you get the product market fit and you have people that want your stuff. So let's see, who is this for? So why am I doing this? If I think I'm such a good engineer, I can go do stuff. Why don't I think motivation is, I break it down into two reasons, like seeking the carrot. These are positive reasons that I might want to have a side business, because it can be summed up no better than saying I think it's fun. I think this adds balance to my life as well. I'm a programmer at work. I go and I'm just like, this all day, and I come home and I can be on my feet and like build things with my hands. Like, I like having a physical thing at the end of the day. You would understand if you're a programmer. At the end of the day, you have software. There's nothing. I like that I can imbue my business with my values. I care about the environment. I'm using like solar energy for my shop. I try to reduce my consumption for what I do. I'm not sure if my customers actually care about that, but I care about that. And there's a book that I recommend. It's about motivation that it kind of helps describe how making art, making money, making art on my own terms is just fun. So these are probably the more boring reasons, more obvious, that are like relatable. Avoiding the stick. Like, okay, I got kids. I got 2 kids. I don't have that much time, and I need more money than ever before to help raise these kids. And okay, so why don't I just go to my boss and say, I need more money, and what can I do? I mean, get a promotion or something like that. I think at this time in my life, and like being that I'm picky about the work that I do, I've hit like a personal ceiling. I look at my boss, I'm like, okay, I could do what he does in my own way, and I don't want to. I don't want to. For a little bit more money, for a lot more stress, that's a bad deal. I'll just let him do that work, and I'll be happy doing my happy medium here and find lower hanging fruit elsewhere. And it also has the added benefit of, if they lay me off, I can just kind of laugh and say, well, I mean, it'd be like that sucks, but I can go home and make money doing something else. A little bit of safety net there. Okay, so finally, what is high leverage crafting? Well, what exactly is crafting? This is kind of a hard question to answer, actually, because it's like a spectrum. Like, what is cooking? Does it count if I microwave a burrito? Does it count if I open Betty Crocker cake mix and add water to powder? Is that like a handmade cake? I don't know. So there's a spectrum, and I think the appropriate way to look at it is, on one end, we have artisan, handcrafted goods and industrial mass manufactured goods. I think that it summarizes as, handcrafted goods are made with love and they're caringly produced, and mass manufactured goods are made for money often at all costs. It's a lot of invisible costs. Like, we'll destroy the environment to get you this thing for 10 cents cheaper. I think you can summarize this as, it when you see it. Like, oh yeah, that's handcrafted. I like that a little bit more now. Okay, so, and I also think really quickly, digital things can be crafted as well. You can embed thoughtfulness in the design. Just because something is injection molded does not mean that it's well designed. And let's see. Let's recognize crafting very quickly. You can recognize Tito's taquitos. It's enough to say Tito made it. That is his craft. I don't know Tito. I've never been there. I know whatever he hands me is going to be delicious. But then I saw this in the grocery store the other day, and I thought, Tina's Cantina has the gall to put handcrafted on their bag of frozen burritos. I just laughed, imagining like some slovenly guy on an assembly line conveyor belt of tortillas, just like extruding like eggs, cheese. And I thought, that is, just get out of here with that. That's not handcrafting, and that's a lie to say that, to claim that it is. Okay, so obviously I would much rather have the other burrito if it's more expensive. So that's crafting. What is leverage? Leverage is a focusing strategy that multiplies your desired outcome. So, and I love this. I love phrases that use the word any, all, and none because they're absolutes. So all kinds of leverage can be described as one of these 6 kinds of leverage that we're going to be applying. And then in yellow are the types of leverage, and in blue are what I call high leverage heroes. These are people, these job roles that people exemplify, that they just take to a whole nother level. They just go so far out with leverage, they become the best in the world at something, and they're making a living because they just have pushed it so far. And I think, like, I could spend way too much time on this thing if I looked into it, but like judges, if you got to think about that one, if you're explaining it to a 5-year-old kid, like, I wouldn't mention corruption or political appointments or any of that nonsense. If they're saying, how do you get to be a judge? I would say you're there because you know more about the Constitution than anyone else in the world. And as a result, just simply knowing more, being an expert in this subject, you can be one of 9 gods among men who nobody voted for. You're just appointed for life to this position of power just by knowing about the Constitution, in theory, of course. And then the other one I think is funny, the debt, other people's money. If you follow TikTok real estate investors, these people, there's a viral video clip of these people like saying, passing the camera around, I made $5 million with 50,000 units and all this thing. And you think these people are almost well described as being dopey for taking so much risk that could just come crashing down, and also being really smart because for the time being they're rich on paper, and nobody exemplifies using other people's money better than them. And then finally, technology. I use a lot of that in high leverage crafting to efficiently make machines do work for me, do things that I couldn't do by hand, completely by hand. So finally, what is high leverage crafting? I'm going to read this off the slide. I try not to read off slides. Using your personal value-added skill set to thoughtfully utilize modern tools and fabrication techniques to efficiently serve a craft business niche without sacrificing the qualities that separate crafting from mass manufacturing. We're operating in the gray zone between them. We want to make our products with love in a factory-like setting so we can make money doing it. And on the bottom here are 5 examples of these are, I don't know what, each of these have grossed at least $500,000 in their lifetime on Etsy, these listings. And the only thing they have in common is they're made of creative uses of 6 pieces of wood. I thought that was kind of funny to just grab random things that they did. But these people have made a boatload of money selling crafts efficiently. And I love that. I have lots of examples of those. So what's the difference between hobby crafting and high leverage crafting? So I want to be very clear. I'm not disparaging people who are like on the left-hand side. Somebody put a lot of work into this and they're just trying to make a buck. Honest, hardworking people, they're not going about it the correct way though. This is selling yourself short. If you're like knitting this for $10, a hand-knitted thing, I don't know, probably what does that take, like 3 hours to make? And they had to like organize the colors. On the right, you could take the same skill set and use thicker wool, and you're doing less hooks than the rainbow had on the left side. This person, their photo has a person in it instead of a mannequin. That's better. And they're offering variable... I'm getting dry here. So they're offering variable variations on the product so they can capture different parts of the market. If somebody's a little interested, they can buy a cheap one. If they're really interested, they can buy an expensive one. And then this sticker thing, this one's going to be tricky because it is a bestseller. And at a glance, you might say, that guy's winning. They're not winning. It's $2 and they offer free shipping. So I can pester that person. I can send them a blurry photo and say, here's $2. Trim out this blurry photo, produce something nice, mail it to me, and then I get... so there's no profit margin in that process. There's way too much human involvement for making one custom sticker. But you can take the same skill set on the right side, and this guy or person is very creative. They made baseball stitching. They're selling 80 stickers at once. They're all identical, so they can mass pack them on the sheet of paper. And they say, how many do you want? 80 or 100? It's decorating your room with baseball stitching. And each of those people on the right have made lots of money doing what they do. So let's get another couple examples. So that's hobby versus high leverage. This is wannabe crafting. This isn't even crafting. The person on the left is printing on demand. So they are not producing the product themselves. He either made, maybe that's giving him credit if he actually made the image. Sometimes people find it and just upload it to these websites and then link it back to Etsy. And now they're selling this overpriced shirt that he's never worn. He can't even describe like how comfortable the shirt is. He hasn't touched it. He hasn't added any personal value at all. Because if he's going to make any profit at all, the print on demand company has to make their cut. So he's got to sell it for this exorbitant price that nobody wants. So he hasn't. He's never sold it. Whereas on the right, this person whose shop I found, they are winning more than anyone else on Etsy with the keyword shirt. They're winning with shirt, or maybe it was sweater. I looked it up. I looked that person up on TikTok, and I thought, man, this person, I don't even know if they realize how much they're killing it. She's like modestly trying to just get people to like her TikTok. She's like, this is me doing my process. And I thought, man, she's really smart. She's like efficiently doing this thing, the whole thing end to end. And I just thought, like, both of these products could be described as generic, but the one on the right is generic in a way that I could imagine that being popular with a lot of people potentially wanting to wear this cool tie-dye shirt. So then, to move along faster here, the bottom two are SVGs, and on the bottom left, this person is selling that thing they Googled. They Googled a picture and they listed it on Etsy. And they're selling it for 20 cents. They're not even making money. I don't know why, but they're not making money. So they're copy pasting the product. And on the right, this guy or person has made SVGs. So any parent with kids playing a sport and you want to make like a trophy or like a jersey or something, he'll sell you the image, and he's added value to it by giving videos to show you how to change the name on the back to your kid's name so that they can wear this like personalized thing. That digital file for $34, he's selling the crap out of it. I just love that. That's high leverage. Okay, so how do we do this? I love high-level thinking. I want to put this in a very tight nutshell to describe what we're doing. We got to find what works and do that. That's all you got to do. But of course, it breaks out to being more than that. The opposite of this is, I would say, pioneering and shooting in the dark. And I did a lot of that when I started out. I just apply my own personal preferences. I think, I like this, I'm going to make this and see if other people like it. And I wasn't using evidence to lead the project, and it turns out my personal judgment of what people are gonna like is very bad. Like, it's all good, and it's an inverse indicator. If I think something's cool, there's a good chance that like nobody else thinks it's cool. So, and I just want to add, and I want to add that I've always had like this hardworking mentality. I've always like tried to do better, but there's no reward just for putting in the hours and working on something hard. Like I said at the beginning, like being able to build a Roomba, you have to solve the right problems. So that's its own thing, is finding the right problems to solve and then solving them efficiently. So I say the secret formula is mixing in equal parts market research, domain-specific knowledge. That's your value-added thing that you do, whatever your craft is, and then followed up with manufacturing, engineering, thinking, doing it efficiently, having a strong work ethic, and then garnish and serve with your personal flair. Like, this is your personal business. We talk to people like a human when you're messaging them and things, and people appreciate that a lot. So what does that save you if you do things right? This is the lifetime distribution of revenue from every product I've ever listed on Etsy. And so on the left side, I've sold 109 unique items ever. And I thought, I wonder if this is going to have a Pareto distribution, which is an 80-20 distribution. And I added it up, and sure enough, it was the top 22 most revenue-generating listings had generated 83% of all the revenue of the group. And I was like, no way! I was blown away. It felt like I had thrown a bag of Skittles in the air and they landed in color-sorted piles. Like, this is 4 years of data, and it just matched a theory. So what I'm getting at here is you can skip a lot of the extra work of those small slivers that didn't benefit me much. A lot of those I did when I was starting out, and go straight to the big slivers that are going to pay off more if you're working intelligently on the front end with your market research. So this is almost the last slide. So we're going to break out that. Find what works and do that. Finding what works with market research. This is the contents of the course. I'm going to discuss different marketplaces, different platforms that you might want to use, different advantages and disadvantages. How to do qualitative market research. Ask the right questions about yourself, about the market, about what people want. And then I love, this is probably my favorite part, the quantitative market research. I call it Moneyball, which is based on a movie where they changed the game of baseball using statistics. And I have built online tools to find opportunities. And once you get through that, you realize that the world is full of opportunities. There's like way more than you could possibly take advantage of. So you need opportunity selection. You need to know how to pick which ones. Okay, so now you've got projects that you want to do. We've got to figure out how to do that. We're going to maximize our benefit to cost ratio by maximizing the impact of our work and minimizing the waste that we incur in doing that. So I go through a lot of various tips in that process, and then the supplemental resources is, so in addition to this like slideshow presentation, I deliver the opportunity database, which by itself is this whole thing. It's got currently 65,000 listings, and it updates over like on a monthly basis of just finding new opportunities. And it's sortable and searchable. So instead of searching like in the wild for ideas, this thing searches and it just filters out all the crap that's not making money to feed our inspiration generator so we can have ideas for what to make. And then finally, a curated list of tools, like free and paid tools, like let's say for a hashtag generation tool. Like there's other people that are selling tools that you can like generate hashtags for money. Don't pay somebody for that. You can use my opportunity database for that. You can use among freeware. Let's see. I've got on the last slide, the deliverables are 62 slides in this format. It's me yelling at you just like this for about 2.5 hours to teach you how to do exactly what I've done here. And then a roughly half-hour review of the software tools. I do a little video, but you have the printed worksheet. You can just look through yourself, but I think it's nice to do a video. And then a tour of my workshop. I'm just going to walk you through what I'm doing. And like, not that you're going to do exactly what I do, but if I think maybe you can get something out of that. I think it's fascinating to see how other people do what they do. Access to the database, software tools. And then I want to say, yes, this will be work. I can't guarantee outcomes. But I can guarantee, my guarantee is that this is going to be useful. That's really what I want you to think when you're done with this. You're going to say, well, I might do things differently. That's my favorite quote right there is, no model is perfect, but some are useful. I want you to walk away and say, man, I really got something out of that. I'm going to leave that guy 5 stars and share with all my friends. So I think that's where I'm going to leave this and take a breath. Thank you for watching this long, verbose video. And I know it wasn't perfect, but I hope it was useful. And do let me know if you have any questions. Thank you for watching.